Hello, I'm your professor, Dr. Terry Orsi, and I'm going to show you how to start an academic paper. Knowing how to begin can be one of the most difficult parts of writing an academic paper. This can be even more difficult if the material is relatively unknown to you. This primer is going to take you through the steps to starting your paper. There are several sections to this paper. We are going to start with Table 1. This table I created when working on my dissertation. My topic was high-stakes decision-making for crisis leadership. This process is keywords based, meaning you must come up with keywords related to your topic. This table is made up of 21 subgroups. Each subgroup is a collection of keywords using and keeping track of the number of results is very important. You can see here that on this day, the keywords decision-making resulted in nearly 2.5 million papers. That number of papers would be impossible to read and cover too many topics, so we must add another keyword, high stakes, to bring it down to just under 2,500. But this is still too high. My rule of thumb is keep going until I'm around 20, which is exactly what I get in subgroup 1. The number in parentheses represents the number of papers in this subgroup that are also found in other subgroups. What can we learn from this table? You will see that some of the results ended with near zero papers. This tells us that the topic is not well researched and that our keyword searches are diverse. This slide is pointing out that many results have a high number of papers. This means the topics are popular and you can find plenty of information. Many of the papers are in other subgroups, but not all. Some subgroups have few or no results. You can even look closer to see what causes those numbers to drop. Did they drop when I added international to the key searches? If so, this could mean few researchers look at this topic on a global scale. What else can you see here? When looking specifically at a crisis like terrorism or CBRN, or looking at policies, the numbers drop. Because of this variance, we can say it is a successful key group search. Now it's time to create your outline. Choose keywords in your group that fit. My example is shown here. Before you get started, we must look at how to create the table. We'll cover that later in the presentation. Let's first look at another table that is related to your keyword search. This table is a duplication of authors table. They are all the publications that showed up in the keyword search at least twice. You'll see here 29. You can see that my 2018 paper showed up the most. 12 groups out of 21 included my paper. This makes sense because I used this same keyword search 5 years ago when I wrote that paper. You can also see who the authors are that are most important. The ones with the most popular papers are likely the top researchers in the field. These 29 papers are the ones you need to download print as your foundation articles for your paper. Or rather, these are the 29 papers I would download. When you do your results, your research, and get these results, you will have your own 29 papers. As you read through each paper, note on the front where in your outline you believe the paper should go. You will encounter other papers that will be of interest to you as you read through them. Go ahead and print them too. You always want to cite the original source. Now it's time to find out how to make these two tables. This is video 1. I used Wright State University Library database. You can use any database. The first step is to go to their website and type in the first keywords. In my case, it was decision making. Bear with me, the site's a little slow. I write down the number of hits and check the filters, a step I do every time. One keyword is still not enough, so I click on Advanced Search and I add high stakes. Once again, checking the filters and writing down the number of hits. You may be tempted to click on full text, but that may limit your results. So now we're down to 2,573. And now it's time to add crisis or crisis management. Once again, doing the search. Filters. And there we have it, 20. 20 is our preference. When you stop at a higher number, you end up widening the umbrella. You have too many papers, the hits are less, so you may end up with 30 of 2 versus 20 of 2. Right now I'm going to save those and export them. I'm going to directly export to Refworks, remove those items, and hit save. Removing is important because you do not want those papers to show up in your next hit. Once I hit save, the site will take me directly into Refworks. So now it's time to open up the Refworks video. Now we are in Refworks, the legacy version. You have the choice to use Refworks or another citation manager. This first screen will ask you if you want to view last imported. You say yes, then you click Create Bibliography and select all copy results. You will be pasting them into Excel. Open up a new Excel document and paste. Match destination formatting. This is important. Paste it into the second column. Then sort alphabetically to remove empty rows. Then in the first column, label each respective SG. For example, this one's SG1. The next step is to give it a color to easily distinguish between other subgroups. To save time, I redid all 21 subgroups, and the link to this document will be available. Include one tab with all subgroups. This is the one that you will manipulate. First, remove from this tab all papers you only found once. This is made easier by sorting by column. And delete any papers you found once. Okay, so here we have it. These are all the papers that were found once. Excuse me, more than once. And you can see here, for example, for subgroup 1, we have 14 papers, and so here's the 14. Subgroup 2, 9 papers. Subgroup 3, 4 papers. So those numbers will go into this parenthesis, those parentheses there. So again, those 14, that 14 indicates that of that subgroup, of those 20 papers, 14 of them were found in other subgroups. When you sort by the papers, you will see how many times a paper was found in all subgroups. So you see here I have subgroup 1, subgroup 2, subgroup 3, 4, 5, and they're all color-coded. So then I go to the tab that has all of the papers found more than once. No. All the papers. Now I'm going to sort them, custom, sort them by the papers. And now I can see which papers were repeated. This Collins paper was found in 3 subgroups: Dye, Drake, Eisenhart, Epstein, Galloway. Those are all papers that were found at least twice in the subgroup collection. You can see that the color coding really helps make them pop. House was in quite a few of the papers. Kennedy, Lee Ladier. Definitely these are papers that you would want to get. Now once I have those calculated, I get rid of the papers that were only found once and create the repeats and the author sheet. I know where I covered these steps quickly, so if at any time you want to just pause the video and go to my original document, you can do that and then continue back into the video. All right, so what have we learned? We learned how to open up the library database and do a search based off of keywords, taking note of the number of papers, how to save and export it into Refworks, how in Refworks we create a bibliography from the last import and copy that bibliography, paste it into Excel. Each subgroup gets its own table tab, each one gets its own color. Combine and sort by subgroup to get the number of repeated papers in each subgroup. Sort by papers to get the number of repeats and note the number of repeated and author. create table 1 and develop paper outline, create table 2 and download papers. But wait, there is more. We are now going to look at part 2. Refworks integrates with MS Word. Download instructions are on the Refworks webpage, so we're not going to be covering that. So here we are in Refworks, and you can see under Tools we have Writing Tools, and you download the Refworks Citation Manager, and this is what it looks like when you pop it up. I'm going to play this video. This is just a paper I already had. I pulled it up to use as an example. It's a chapter in a textbook that will be coming out soon. So opening up Citation Manager, I can choose the citation style. I prefer APA 6th edition. And look here, you can see that the chapters available are the same chapters as my Refworks chapters. Going back into the paper. This paper is already cited, so we're just going to pretend, add a few. And you can see how easy it is. I just have to hit cite this and bam, it's in the paper. Simple, wasn't it? Now we go to the end of the paper. Again, this is already, we have references. We're just going to ignore those and only look at the new ones. So I'm going to go down and say bibliography on. It's formatting, and there it is. Your references, your list of references in APA 6th edition. Now you may want to send your paper to a journal that uses a different citation style. It's very easy to change your citation style with Refworks. You notice I just deleted a reference, and so now when you go through here, you see that reference is missing. The reference is gone. It keeps itself up to date. So all you have to do is create your reference once and not think about it again until it's time to submit the paper. Now we're going to talk about headers, and how to make a table of contents. I've shortened this and added a few words so that we can pretend to make these headings to create a table of contents. So the mindset of a terrorist, we're going to use header 1. Background, header 2. I did not format the different headings to make them APA 6th edition. You can do that. It's always good to start. So I'm just creating heading 2s and heading 3s just to show you what a table of contents would look like based off of these headers. So now I'm going to go back up to the top. I'm going to go under References, Table of Contents, and I'm going to use this automatic one. You can, there it is. Now, of course, it did pull in some of the other ones because it is an existing paper, and I do use Refworks all the time. Now, if I decide I do not want to have that as a 2, I want it to be normal. I do not want it to be in my table of contents. I just right-click, update field. They ask me if I want to update page numbers over the entire table. I say table, and now it's gone. So again, you can see how easy creating a table of contents can be. Now, most journals do not ask for a table of contents. However, if you're doing a thesis or a dissertation, you will need a table of contents. Now we're going to move on to inserting figures and inserting tables. Oops. All right, let's start this video. So here we are, back to the mindset, and I just insert a picture just like you normally do. Choose a picture. Now I'm going to go up to references, go over to insert caption, and I'm going to give this figure a name. Say OK. Now I'm going to repeat it. You may notice these are some of the pictures of the terrorists that I research. American citizens charged with acts related to terrorism since 9/11. Let's do at least one more. Okay, we have 3. That should be enough. Let's just go up here, create some space, and insert table of figures. Now you see here it says figures, but I can easily do the pull down menu and change it to tables. So you can have your table of figures, your table of tables, you can change the format, you can make hyperlinks or page numbers. You really have a lot of flexibility with Word. Oh, come on, come on. All right. I'm a little slow sometimes, aren't I? So there's the list, figures 1, 2, and 3. Now what's really cool about this, if ultimately you decide to get rid of one of those figures, Word will automatically update your other figures. Back when I did my thesis, when I did my dissertation, we did not have that kind of flexibility, or if we did, I wasn't aware of it. So if you would change a figure or you would change a citation, you would have to go back through and track it down and delete it, or you'd have to go in and renumber all your figures. It could be quite a pain. Okay, so now we're done with the reference manager. We're done with headers and table of contents and everything. So let's just do a review of everything you've learned. Okay, now you know what papers to use when you start your paper. You know the top researchers in your field. How cool is that? You can create an outline based off of your table 1. You can create a bibliography. You know how to create a table of contents. You can insert figures and tables and create tables for each of those. So really the only part left for you is to write the paper. Everything else is done. And I hope you've enjoyed this. I think you will. It definitely makes you excited and makes you interested in writing this paper that is potentially as an assignment or for fun. Believe it or not, I have grad students and MD students that will come to me and say, oh, I have a few weeks off, I want to write a paper, because of this process, because this process is so easy. So check it out, practice. If you're one of my students and you're having trouble with your keywords, send me an email. I'll help you. If you're not one of my students, but you want to be one of my students, email me. I'm available. Happy writing.